Uh-oh. I hit go live. There we go. I think we're actually live. Look at that, Mom. No, she's not really my mom. Hello, everybody.
Hello.
I got
And
Linda on her vodka vlog, so we're all here and all good to go.
I drink the highest quality bathtub gin or bottom shelf scotch, you know.
I know, honey, but you know we had stuff to do. So everybody, welcome. You have just landed, courtesy of Miss Cassie, Queen Bee. You have landed here at the Misti Media Studios here in beautiful Las Vegas, Nevada. Coming in over camera from her own place out in Reno is my lady, Linda K. Hardy. She's one of our authors from our White City Press imprint. I really want to thank Johnny for allowing us to be a part of this. We're not your typical reseller. So I think folks are going to kind of see that in the show. We're just not, we don't do used items. We are a publisher. We are a book publisher. And we thought this would be a great way to introduce you to some of our authors, to our works. We have created a JotForm that's at the top that's actually an order form for all of the books that are going to be mentioned in today's show. All of them are available for $10 each with free worldwide shipping. Yes, we do free worldwide shipping on all paperbacks. If you are in the US or Canada, those will be done here in the US. If you're in Europe, they'll be printed in the UK. And I can print in Australia as well for anybody over on that side of the world. And we never charge for shipping anywhere in the world. We just thank you folks for being a part of it. Please also know that all of our authors are compensated for their work, with one exception, which is the first book we're going to talk about today. Those of you that have met us before know that we have created a charity volume. Oh, Josh Pachter came in. You guys, Josh Pachter has appeared in a couple of our, and you're also going to see several Misti Media anthology authors stopping by, and I've asked them all to introduce themselves when they show up in the feed. But Josh kind of got me on to the idea of some of the anthologies you're going to see coming up here. But one thing I really want to do when I formed Misti Media was to create a charity anthology that we could find a way to give back. And the way we've done that is by creating a series called The Perp War Pumpkin. And what we do is we take humorous stories based around Thanksgiving foods, and our authors create crimes around them. And so if you ever wanted to whack your Aunt Betty at Thanksgiving dinner, this is the book to give you ideas. This is also how I first met Linda. This was the first time I ever published her. But 100% of the proceeds of these two books, The Perp War Pumpkin, and unfortunately, it's so new, we don't even have a copy to show you of The Perp War Pumpkin 2, but it does appear in the JotForm above. If you do order either the Perp War Pumpkin or the Perp War Pumpkin 2, 100% of the proceeds goes to Feeding America and to Second Harvest Food Bank. So it's basically if our author has a Second Harvest Food Bank in their area, we split the donations up around. If they don't, we send it to Feeding America to the home base. Linda, this was the first time you were in a Misti Media anthology. Tell me a little bit about how that came about and what your experience was.
Yeah, I had a story that most of my stories have me in them in some way, pieces of me, and I sometimes put pieces of other people in there too, and like the victims. Anyway, because nobody can prove anything. These are all fictional. There are no bodies that anybody has found yet. Anyway, so this is kind of I shouldn't have said yet. Endangered plants. You put endangered plants over. Never mind, because you can't bother endangered plants. Anyway, this was inspired by family Thanksgivings back when I was married, and yeah. Anyway, so, but it's all fictional. It's all fictional. Totally fictional. Totally fictional. So I wrote this story and sent it into your call, and it got lost in the ether. And then one day you approached your wonderful editor, Sandy Murphy, and said, I'm short a story. And Sandy said, well, I know Linda was writing a story. And so she contacted me. I said, yeah. I sent it in, and he went, wow. And then it was the last story you needed. And that's how it happened.
And I got to tell you, folks, that Linda is one of the funniest writers I've met, and she set such an example with this first story that she did for me that she kind of went onto my list of people that I'm like, you know what, I'm looking for a specific humorous style, and I know Linda can write that. So she went from being someone who had to submit and be considered to somebody that is now on my invitation list. So she doesn't even really have to submit submissions for consideration anymore. I already know her style so well that I know when she's the perfect fit for something we're working on. And I just automatically reach out to her. So Perp War Pumpkin 2, humorous Thanksgiving stories, including recipes from my sister, Lisa Lynn. And lots of other great authors. I think there's 12 stories in each volume, all by different authors. Really, really worth checking out. You can also check those out. There's a link in the description for this video that will take you to our charity page and show you those books in detail. But you can order them directly from that JotForm that's above. You can also order them and send them to anybody you'd like. We're more than happy to drop ship. We print through Ingram, and Ingram has locations all over the world. If you're here in the US, right now they're running about 5 to 8 business days due to the holidays for printing, and then shipping. And most ship out of Laverne, Tennessee, but they do ship from all over. We are very committed to protecting the environment and renewable resources. As a result, we do not do huge batch printing of books. We print to order. This way, we're not killing trees needlessly, and we're ensuring that we're sustaining the environment for many years to come. So moving on from the Perp War Pumpkin, let's see. Your next publication with us was, would that be Sex and Violins? All right, folks. Yeah. So many of you in this chat know me and know my sense of humor, and so many of you in here are naughty as heck, and you know who you are. Jennifer Hayes, Lil Debbie. Sex and Violins is an erotic crime anthology. So the idea was that every story needed to include a musical instrument that would be found in the orchestra, and there needed to be sex. And it could not be PG-13. It could not be rated R. It had to be rated X. So I can tell you that this volume is not intended to be read by people under the age of 18. This is absolutely titillating is a heck of a word. But if you can imagine it happening, my authors were more than happy to bring it to the page. Really, really proud of
I was shocked. I was shocked at Sandy's story. Sandra Murphy. Woo!
And Sandra Murphy is basically my right-hand woman here at Misti Media. She does a ton of our promotion, but she's an incredibly talented author and editor in her own right. And I tasked her with putting this anthology together. The great thing is, although there is absolutely X-rated sex scenes, the focus on these is still the crime. It is still about writing an excellent crime story with an actual plot, an actual criminal, an actual solution. So if you'd like something that's different than what you're going to typically read in a crime anthology, this is definitely the way to go. And then, Linda, tell me a little bit about your story in Sex and Violins.
Yeah, my story is called the Cello of Monkey Pawn Shop, and any English majors will understand monkey paw, but it's not a slapstick funny one like Sandy's. Sandy's stories are always, I mean, your gut's gonna hurt from laughing reading hers. Mine is about a cursed cello, and there's some blood and gore in there as well. The blood and gore is more like, PG-13 bordering on R, but then there is some erotic stuff that's kind of way out there. My first draft had none of the erotic stuff. I'd never written erotica before. Read a plenty, but hadn't written any. So the first draft, I sent it off, and then I thought, I forgot that part. So anyway, I had fun with it and wrote some steamy parts and some kind of gruesome, bordering on gruesome. But there is humor in there too, because my humor can go anywhere from the dark gallows humor up to just wacky, because I have written for children too. I still write for children too, so I can clean it up.
This anthology really kind of flew under the radar for us. We were really surprised at just how successful it became. So much so that 2026 is bringing a sequel called Sex and Synthesizers, where it's another erotic crime anthology, but this time it all takes place in the 80s. So it's all got to be based around 80s music. That's kind of where Josh Pachter comes in, that I mentioned earlier. Josh and I had worked on some previous anthologies that were all inspired by music by various musicians. And I loved the concept of what he was coming up with. And Josh is an incredibly talented author and a brilliant editor on his own. He has so many anthologies out there with his name on them, deservedly so. What a talented guy. I saw Steve Lisco came in also. Steve Lisco is a wonderful discovery that was new to me, and he's a brilliant writer. Kay George has come into the chat, and Kay and I have worked together for almost 15 years. I first published her at my previous publishing house, and now she's a part of my Misti family. Love her to death. Folks, these folks are incredibly talented. I mean, they just are. So going off of what Josh had done, we move on to probably my favorite. I shouldn't have favorites, but it kind of is. Nope, not yet. We're doing Copa.
Oh.
So
yeah.
I grew up in a house where, I'm a Gen X kid, and yeah, Steve, exactly. You're in that one. Steve's in Sex and Violins also. Growing up as a kid of the 70s and 80s, when every Sunday when we would clean the house, my mom was very much into Neil Diamond, Barbara Streisand, and Barry Manilow. And Barry Manilow, has just been a part of my life forever. Part of my sister's life forever. It's just his music is everything that I associate with growing up. So I knew nobody else would probably try to do an anthology like this. So we created A Killing at the Copa, crime fiction inspired by the music of Barry Manilow. And with this one, all of the author, again, inspired by some things that Josh had shown me. The idea was that all of the authors got to pick their own Barry Manilow song from anywhere in his discography, but write a crime story about it. And so the final anthology, again, most of our anthologies have 12 stories. So you've got 12 different Barry Manilow songs in here that have all been turned into crimes. And Linda, tell us a little bit about your story in Copa.
Yeah, my story started out with a place, the downtown 4th Street bus station. And so I was painting a picture of that. And then I had a character, and I had an idea of where I wanted to go. But as I was writing, suddenly, instead of going there, the character, the viewpoint character, went off that direction. Completely different. And I'm thinking, one of us is in the wrong story, but I'll see where she's going. All right. I was in the wrong story. She had the right idea. And it turned out very different than I expected.
And which song is your story based on?
It's inspired by Mandy, because it's got, and this Rain is Cold as Ice, which is a play on the kind of the feeling of the song and some of the lyrics.
If I recall correctly, when we were working on your story, didn't we have the option of 2 potential songs that the story could possibly have fit?
Yeah, because it starts out with the narrator that she's in the bus station. She hears someone playing, ready to take a chance again.
That's
and
right.
Her first thought, being in a casino town, Reno, is, oh, could that be really Barry Manilow? But doesn't he have a residency in Las Vegas? He's not living on the streets, is he? And then that's where it started, and that kind of fit. But then when the character went over that way, suddenly Mandy was the better song. And so I was inspired by Ready to Take a Chance. My character was inspired by Mandy. She won. What can I say?
And Copa is one of those anthologies where some of it was invite, and then some of it were brand new people, but that I hadn't experienced before, who now are people that I absolutely adore. I don't like to play favorites with the stories, but I have to say there's a story in here called Weekend in New England that I have to tell you may just be one of the best short stories I've ever read. When I got the submission, I jumped up out of my chair and said, "Oh my God, they get it. They know exactly what I'm looking for." It was one of the first ones I got in, and I was just like, any doubts I had about putting this anthology together completely vanished when I read her story, because it was just it's about a stalker, but it's done just so incredibly well. And again, normally at a retailer, at the retailer level, most of these anthologies sell for between 18 Connecticut Stalker. Yep. Most of these books will sell for between 18 and 22 at our retailers. And in most cases, you'll have to pay shipping. On our website, most of our books sell for around 16 with free worldwide shipping. Because we can all, since we don't have to pay a middleman, we can afford to charge less on our website, and our authors make more in royalties. But today and through December 30th, using the JotForm that's up there in the top corner or down below in the video description, any of these anthologies are just $10 with free shipping, and you're getting at least 12 stories in each one. That's a heck of a deal. That's less than $1 per story. And you're going to be entertained for a heck of a lot longer than it's going to take to read it. So, Linda, let's see. We went from Copa to Gag Me. Is that right? Or yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. We went to Gag Me. So, Gag Me with a Spoon is our humorous anthology inspired by songs of the 80s. I'm just an 80s freak. I would go back to the 80s in a heartbeat. Linda, TZED asks, are all your stories from real life situations?
Oh, of course. They are all from real life situations. I do have to kind of massage some of them so that, like old, what's his name? Dragnet guy used to say, Sergeant Friday. The names are changed to protect the innocent, like me, because nobody can prove anything. I'm innocent until proven guilty. No one's found any bodies yet. But yeah. There's pieces of me in all of them. There's pieces of people I like in all of them, and pieces of people I don't like. I've exercised people out of my life with stories.
One of the things that you always try to tell authors when they're working on something is, if you want that authenticity to come through, you got to write what you know. So, if you're not familiar with that experience or that particular person, trying to write something from scratch that you can't reference yourself, that you've just never experienced, it's never going to ring true. It doesn't mean you have to kill somebody in order to be good at it on paper, but the rest of everything else that it's easy to kill somebody in a book. It's not so easy to justify it or present it in a believable fashion. And so really talented authors, like all of these people are in my anthologies, have learned how to do that and to do it really, really well. So Gag Me with a Spoon, again, just wanted to have some fun, revisit the 80s. Fun fact, I was supposed to be in this anthology. I ended up having to pull out at the last minute. There's words gay men don't ever say. But
It
unfortunately,
wouldn't pull out.
I will hopefully be in. You'll see my work in 2026 and something else. But Linda, what song did you use for this anthology?
Well, I knew way back when the song was out that Jesse's Girl from Rick Springfield, there was a deeper story there. And when I got hold of it, see, my subconscious writes all my stuff for me. I don't do it. I'm just a typist. And so my subconscious had been working on it for, what has it been since the 80s, 40 years. And I ended up with a story called Sappho's Girl, because I was also teaching at the university. I taught core humanities and I taught English comp. And in core humanities, I taught about the poet Sappho, because it's hard to find. I taught ancient and medieval cultures, and it's hard to find a lot of women, because there are women in history, but it's hard to find them. So anyway, I ended up with this story that was inspired by Rick Springfield. And in the song, it's the narrator that I call Rick, the Rick character. He's looking at his friend Jesse, and Jesse's girl, and he's lusting after her. In my story, it turned into, instead of a love triangle, it turned into some kind of love pentagram. There were 5 sides to this one, and it got really wacky. I think I might have been channeling Sandy Murphy a little bit, because there is some whack in there, the whack factor. Mine are usually a little more snarky than wacky, but I was really happy with it. I was really happy with how it turned out, and basically this one is when I told the subconscious, okay, that's it, you're in charge.
So I'm hearing a distant train whistle, which means that we're starting to run a little low here on time. So we're going to need to steam along ourselves here to make sure we get through the last 2. So this is kind of where everything started. I'm a huge fan of one-hit wonders. It's those songs that everybody knows the song and nobody knows the artist. Josh Pachter and I go back a ways on the original one-hit wonder. I love the idea of these of writing crime stories around songs. And again, I give all the credit to Josh for the inspiration. I mean, he really is the guy that got me into this. So we did the original. We did an original volume of One Hit Wonders. It was one of the first books we ever published with Misti Media and our White City Press imprint. And it was so successful and everybody loved it so much that we decided to do a sequel. And so Lunatic Fringe came out this year with all new crime stories based around one-hit wonders. So fun fact, Kay George, that is in the chat today, was originally supposed to be in the first volume, but she had the same song as somebody else in the first volume. And I didn't want to have 2 songs, that were the same in the volume. And actually fast forward like a year, 2 years later, and I mentioned this to Josh, and Josh reminds me that, you know what, it's your anthology. You can do whatever you want to. If you want to repeat a story later on, just repeat a story. So I held on to Kay's and got her into this one, and I'm really glad I did. And again, this is another one from Linda. Linda, what song did you use for this one?
I used a song that I just adored back when it came out. I was working as a news reporter and anchor on a rock and roll radio station, and the program director called me and he said, "Hey, there's this new song. What do you think of it?" And it's Romeo's Tune by Steve Forbert. And if you hear it, most people are going, huh? But if you listen to it, you'll go, ah, if you were alive then. Because it's this bouncy tune, fun and bouncy. And I thought, okay, let's take this bouncy tune and let's do a murder story. And so, yeah, I have, and it's called In the Middle of the Day, which kind of calls back to some of the lyrics. And yeah, it's a kind of murder story, revenge story, and it's got some dark humor in there and some lighter humor and yeah.
And really important to point out is that in any of these anthologies where we've based it, our authors have based it on a song, we've deliberately not gone very obscure. Like, we haven't tried to go in some deep catalog pick that's like nobody's ever heard of before. The idea is to keep these familiar so that when you read the story, they're not telling a story based on the exact words of the song. There's enough there for you to realize that the song is the inspiration, but not that it's the song is the whole purpose of the crime.
In this one, Romeo's tune, Romeo, Juliet, it sounds like on first listen that it's just this bouncy little love song that this guy is singing to his girl. But you can hear different kinds of love in it when you look deeper. And in my story, the narrator is a gay man who is in love platonically with a female friend, and she has an abusive husband she's trying to divorce. And guess who kills who? Yeah.
So
the narrator kills the husband.
The headlight. I can see the headlight of the engine coming forward down the tracks. So we've got one more book to get to. This is also edited by Sandra Murphy. There are 22 stories in this anthology, folks. $10 for 22 stories. There is no better deal than that. Sandy actually put this anthology together previously. It's called Peace, Love, and Crime, crime fiction inspired by the songs of the 60s. So with this one, you're looking at all music from that Woodstock era. Great stuff. Again, 22 stories for $10. Linda, real quick, tell us which song inspired you and for your story.
It was Nancy Sinatra. These boots were made for walking, because that was a really good proto-feminist song. These boots were made for walking, and one of these days these boots are gonna walk all over. Can't get that low. Walk all over you. And so it's about a woman that takes charge and gets rid of her annoying almost ex-husband. Or actually, he is the ex-husband in there. But anyway, so yeah, it was her inspiration. It was my inspiration and her inspiration, the characters. But it's totally fictional, totally fictional, totally fictional.
And I do know that the uber talented Josh Pachter is in this as well. So that if you folks are looking to check out work from any of those folks that showed up today to support us and our half hour here today, by all means, please do. There are links below in the description for the show that will take you to our main Misti Media website where you can learn all about us. You can, there's a link to Linda's own page, so you can read a little bit more about her and see all the titles she's in. There's a link to White City Press, which is our mystery and crime imprint, where you'll find more books by Josh Pachter, Steve Lisco, Kay George, Linda, Sandra Murphy, all the people we've talked about and talked to today. And there's also a link to Nazca Press, which is our science fiction, fantasy, horror imprint. So just so you can get kind of a feel for all the kinds of different things we write, we're always open to submissions. Submission guidelines can be found at mistimedia.com. Again, we're going to keep this JotForm going. The JotForm right now is in the upper corner there for you to be able to check out and buy books. It's also in the book description down below. From here, we're going to put you on the high-speed train. We're sending you over to Arizona to Becky Vintage. And Becky is going to take good care of you folks. We really appreciate y'all stopping here in Las Vegas.
And Reno.
Train keeps going down the track, folks. We're going to hang out here for a little bit more, sip some margaritas, and get drunk by the tracks. You guys have a great time. Thank you so much for stopping by. Thanks again to Johnny for allowing us to be a part of this. Folks, take care. Have a happy and healthy holiday season. Best to you and yours, and a very happy new year. Take care, everybody.